I recorded my first podcast yesterday, and it went very well. It also went a little um, tough for me. I was the hesitant one in the talking. We had two of my friends that are very high up in ag industry around our state, and we talked about food insecurity and how a decrease in SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program with USDA, would actually really hurt the food pantries, because they would have to work double time to make up the difference. And then if there's any economic downturn, their extra efforts have been used up just trying to take up the difference in SNAP, right? So we started there, and then we talked about other rural issues that nonprofits have to deal with and take up the slack, and how are they going to build capacity, increase capacity during tough times when they're being asked to take over more and more of the financing of people's help. And so there you go. I had a good talk with them. It worked out fine. I'm critical of myself. But what I find interesting is that I just really enjoyed it, and getting back into the editing. I'm editing some shorts out of my podcast. You can see them. The link will be below. But the shorts have been actually more interesting than I think the full podcast. And it's because the shorts really bring it to a point. But in YouTube, the shorts will help bring new viewers to your channel. But the watch time is so short, right? Small, that it doesn't add much to your watch time. But that's okay. It'll be interesting as we go along and figure this out. Even this channel has been very interesting. I don't know about anybody else. And if you have a channel, let me know below. Share your channels. If you have a channel, let me know. I'd love to see it. I've been looking at other people's channels that are my age approximately, that going into our fourth quarter, or we're in our fourth quarter. Some have really taken off. Some are like mine and slowly grow, and that's great and good. Some not even a few watches, and I think they're just as good as the rest of the ones that took off. It's the algorithm, perhaps it's the topics. I noticed that my most watched video to date is the decluttering video. I even started to make another decluttering video this morning and then scrapped it because I didn't like how it was going. But I will do another decluttering video because I like to declutter. There are certain things that each of us really love to do. I can tell you, I just really love to get rid of junk. I'll even help other people. I watch the videos, don't you? I mean, many of you must, of the people who clean and out hoarder homes. And I just like to do it. I don't want to do it for a living, but I like to watch it, and I like to clean things out. We've got a couple of garages that are behind the rentals that we have. And my husband is a clutter bug. And so I told him we're going to do a decluttering video of at least one of the garages. And so look forward to that, I guess, if you're into that. But as we are in this fourth quarter, and me personally, I'm just going down this journey of expanding not only my regular work, but expanding here on my personal channel. A little self-reflection, if nothing more. It keeps me motivated to keep thinking about our retirement time and what I will do in retirement, because I'm not someone to just sit around. During COVID, it nearly drove me nuts. And I ended up actually taking a client and working with them, and then I ended up with a full-time job. So the remainder of the COVID shutdown, I was working full-time for one of my clients. Bonus to me, I could get health insurance, which I needed at the time. You never know with, COVID, we didn't know what was happening. But also, come on, I can't just sit there. It's like when I had my two babies. I could have just been a mom at home and done some part-time work, and I could not do that. I had to go back to work after a few weeks because that's not how my brain and my hands work. I have to work. So I know that, like, I'm 61. Remember, the fourth quarter starts at 61 and a half if your average age of a U.S. person is 82. Well, that means I could retire at 65. Well, I can retire at 62 and take Social Security, and I'd have to watch my income. I'm not sure I can do that. A lot of the experts are recommending that you go ahead and take the Social Security because if they pull the plug on Social Security, you're already in the door, right? And you can keep pulling it. Well, I don't know if I want to cut back, right? I don't know if I want to cut back. I enjoy this. I really have enjoyed restarting this podcast. It's made me even busier than I was. And I do have the rental properties, the Airbnbs, and the my consulting and coaching. And now I've got a podcast. But I'll tell you right now, at least, I'm really enjoying getting back in the groove of editing, not just the podcast for video, but for audio, making the shorts, learning more about that type of algorithm. It's not the kind of topic that's just going to fly, it's not like the hoarder channels or something like that. It's about a very specific industry, nonprofits, and topics of the day, which this topic for the first one was cuts in the USDA SNAP and how that might affect nonprofits. So next week, I think we'll be talking about how do nonprofits feel right now if it's a survey and research done around how nonprofits are actually working within the donor capital campaigns. It's some research. And so it's very specialized, right? I still think the average person, especially if you're maybe on a board of a nonprofit, would really be interested in. And they're good people, good, thoughtful, intelligent people, and we have a nice conversation. I would like to see my podcast. This one was a little somber. We were talking about cuts and cuts and cuts, and it's just going to be really difficult, especially in the rural areas. Fewer people, more people tied to agriculture. The tariffs seem to be a moving target. Today, there was some news about lifting some of it, or at least delaying some of it, which is good. But in the rural areas, the cuts and any kind of tariff action is truly going to really hurt. There's been some news out of Nebraska that if things are really the way they are, that it's possible the state of Nebraska might have financial, they say bankruptcy, but I don't think that's how it really works, but financial problem in 6 months, severe. And a lot of people are like, oh, they deserve it. They deserve it. Well, there are a lot of people who didn't really vote for this, whether they voted Republican or Democrat, they didn't vote for this. And they are in the find out phase, as they say, but there are a lot of really wonderful human beings that don't deserve this at all. None of them do. And we talked about that. And that was really kind of a bummer, right? That's kind of, But we did talk about some positives that people could do to alleviate some of the worry, stress, and maybe get past it. And there were some really great ideas. And I really appreciate those people coming on and talking to me about it. But I'd like more levity, more chatty, more casual. We were pretty serious. pretty talking head serious. And if you're going to be talking heads, at least be more warm and engaging. And that's a lesson to me. I can introduce that talking head engagement, or I can introduce talking head levity, which when I'm nervous, I'm far more likely to do, I guess one of two things. When I'm super nervous, I can be goofy as heck, really goofy. But when I'm serious nervous and I know the topic, I just get into the groove of being, the school marm and very serious. And I've done that on here and really thought to myself, we're gonna have to lighten that up. Because that's not who I really am. When I really am is a very sarcastic and wiseacre kind of person. And in a positive way, not a mean way. I try not to be mean about it anyway. And I love laughter. And I need to introduce that more on here and in that podcast. It's just really evident. So it's just an observation. I am enjoying it. I showed you all some of the office work we did, previous video, but yesterday, and I'll overlay some video here in a second. I did take some video of it. I quickly went and bought it right before my video interviews. So about 2 hours before the interviews, I went and bought a gallon of paint. And I painted that. And then I don't know, I put up a curtain rod. So you see up there, I had a quilt on there. I think I've got some pictures of the quilt yet on there. And I took it down and I put up, do you see what that is? That's not really a curtain. A lot of room designers use them. It is a drop cloth. One of the famous TV shows, the one that's in Laurel, Mississippi, she uses those a lot, but I had already known about them and used them in my work with TV. You need a curtain really quick. You can just use that taupe color, but we would more likely, we'd go buy some dye and fill up a Rubbermaid container and dye them whatever color we needed and just put them up. And from a TV's perspective, if you needed a blue curtain, it was a blue curtain. You couldn't really see that it was an old, a drop cloth, not old drop cloth, but painter's drop cloth. I like them with the taupe color. I really like the color. It also, it adds texture. So here's the vantage point over here, like you're on your podcast here. And so you've got a bookcase, and you have your mic over here, but I'd have to sit this on top of my computer. And then you've got the texture over here. And I put, so we were really more like this with a little bit of space. And I had the little bit of greenery. I don't know if you noticed that a lot of the people who do video have a big plant in the corner. It breaks up sound, and it also adds texture and dimension, because your camera, even the really good ones that we have nowadays, like on our phone and everything, it has a hard time seeing depth. So when you do things like my bookcases are always great because you can see texture and depth, and it gives the eye an impression that there's space back there. That's not like that wall could be perceived as right here, but you know that the curtain is there and the bookcase is there, so you know it's not right here. So it gives texture and depth, but you also want your sound to be broken up. And even though this is a small upstairs bedroom, which is great for recording, there was some echo. And you want to break that corner up so that the sound isn't bouncing around off of all the crevices in the room. And so I did that. And I like the color. I like the pop of the taupe against the color. And I was real pleased then. I wasn't pleased with my space until I painted that wall and put that curtain up there. So yeah, all the little things that go into doing a podcast. The other thing is calling and getting a hold of guests. I have put a lot of asks out there, and I had this group of people. We did the first one, and then we've done, we have one scheduled that I'll record on the 10th which is Monday. And then, so in a couple of days, and I'll try to get another one. I wanted to really get 3 up right away, but instead of getting 3 up right away, I did get 1 up and a bunch of shorts that were broken out. So we'll see how that works, and maybe we'll get a little lift on viewership or listenership from the shorts. And I haven't loaded it onto audio podcast yet. I'm working on that right now. I'm going to put the audio stream over to Podbean and then get it out to Spotify and everything. But little by little, I'm getting there, and it's really fun. It's really exciting. On my other podcast, I was monetized, not like I wasn't on YouTube, monetized by sponsorship. So basically, I sold sponsorship or ads, 1 for each podcast. And I was earning an extra $1,000 a month. And that I was paying for all of this to be done. I'm doing this myself now. I may get to the point here in a month or 2 when I have my monetization and some sponsorships for my work. I will probably hire somebody to do it. And that sponsorship money at first will pay for that. And that's well worth it, right? It's augmenting and feeding people over to my coaching and consulting. It should pay for itself too. And I want to get so that it's an actual income stream on its own. I think it's valuable enough information that it's not just replicating what I'm doing with my coaching at all. It's talking about something that's really not being chatted about a lot on the other nonprofit podcasts. So, yep, that's my goals. That's where we're at. It's just been kind of a whirlwind doing this portion. I'd love to hear what other people do for their own income streams, how you're dealing with the uncertainty of the future. And even if maybe you don't feel that there's an uncertain future around your retirement and how things are going. So share that. I truthfully believe that we are uncertain, and any day can be completely different than the previous day. That can be true anyway, some fatalists say, but I think we can take for general that that's not always true. That stress isn't always there. So this is what I'm doing right now, which is building another income stream. I'm enjoying it while I do it. And taking stock in what I can do. For instance, my Airbnb, which by the way, is currently bringing in nearly twice what the regular income stream was doing. Now, the regular income, to be true, we were under renting it, but at least for now, that Airbnb, there was so much damage that renter left. I need to recoup some of that. I may go back to regular renting, and some of you may believe strongly that I should. That's okay. I need to recoup that. It's an investment. And so we put money out of our own pockets to repair the damage, and it was quite a bit. And we had it off rental for 3 solid months while we fixed it. It was a lot. So I have to recoup that through the Airbnb before I even make any more decisions on what I might do with that. So that's the update on that. Let me know about your income streams. I'm super interested to know. But so far, so good on the podcast. If listening about how nonprofits in rural areas might, or even urban areas like with the SNAP reduction, might do some things to overcome the things that are rolling into their reality, listen to my podcast. Maybe you'll enjoy it. Maybe you'll learn something. Let me know if you did. I'd love to hear that you did listen to the podcast. Thanks, and have a great day.